It's been a while since I've covered what I feel are the best mods that still keep Minecraft relatively vanilla feeling. And well, I'm still using those same mods on the now practically ancient 1.21. So I'm updating my game to the newest 1.21.7 and these are the mods I'm using. Let's get bloody into it, mate. Alright, so we do have a lot of new mods. We've also got some returning mods and some that are unfortunately just as of recording not updated yet. And man, they're probably my most favorite ones and I'm very, very upset they're not updated. But starting off, we do have a whole slew, okay, of performance mods. We've got sodium, entity culling, immediately fast, dynamic FPS, and just a whole bunch more. And dude, with a pretty gigachad system like mine, I'm getting 250, looks like on average, frames. And that's with a max render distance of 32 as well. I guarantee even with like, you know, a pretty crappy computer, adding those mods, it's gonna just... It's free performance, man. You may as well just get them. There's no bloody downside. And that is actually also with distant horizons turned on. As you can see, all those chunks in the distance there that are kind of blocky, those are all the distant horizons chunks that kind of get loaded in the background instead of just having like this boring ass fog. So if I turn it off just like that, you can see this is how just vanilla is. It's, yeah, shockingly shit in comparison. And yeah, turning it back on, wow, dude, what a difference. Now, the next couple of things that are going to make a very big difference to the visuals is, of course, shaders. So we have iris shaders and also complementary unbound with the brand sparkly new version 5.5.1 here. So I'm just gonna click on that and click apply. And so this is with the default settings. This is how your world is going to look. Honestly, it is perfectly fine like this. All right, now getting into some of the actual mods. The first one we have is Zero's World Map. This one right here, if you press M in game, you're gonna get an overview of your world. Honestly, I feel like this is a super useful thing to have. It's kind of just a no-brainer, you know? And I mean, there is a mini-map mod to go with this as well if you want to see it on your screen all the time, but honestly, I just prefer to just have the world map, and that's it. Something I will also note is that I'm not using any biome mods or structure generating mods at all this time around. So previously, I used to use like Blooming Biosphere and Tectonic and just a bunch of different mods that add new structures to the world. But honestly, with the new like Pale Gardens and I don't even know if they've added new structures and stuff. But yeah, when it comes to like forests and stuff, like I'd use Blooming Biosphere to add in fallen logs, but they've kind of, you know, they've actually added that to the game finally now. I mean, I can't even seem to goddamn find a fallen log, but I'm sure you've bloody seen it. They've also done heaps of cool things like adding in this new leaf litter. There used to be a mod that added these falling leaves, but now it's just in the game. So I've actually removed a couple mods now that, you know, Minecraft is starting to add some of these awesome things just to the vanilla game. Now, two of my most favorite mods that unfortunately haven't updated yet is sounds and tiny item animations. I'll probably show on screen here what that looks like and sounds like. Unfortunately, those aren't updated, so we're just stuck with the boring old frickin' thing for now, but, you know, hopefully they get updated in the future. But to kind of replace that, there is something called immersive hotbar. So if you look down at my hotbar, if I go ahead and pick up this log, you can see it kind of slowly adds it in there, you know? And if I throw it out, bang, it slowly goes out. Also, if I just add a bunch of different items down here, you can see as I scroll through them, it's gonna slowly kind of increase and decrease the size of it. Also, that text there as well, it's actually animated too. And yeah, it just adds like that little bit of a premium kind of feeling to the inventory. You know, previously it was just a static kind of piece of crap, you know? And now it's just a bit more interesting. Now, continuing with the UI kind of mods, we have status effect bars. So if I just go ahead and grab, I should probably grab a couple more of these, eh? What the hell is oozing, brother? What is that? If I just go and splash all these on me, you can see at the top right there, it kind of adds that little icon, but it also has a bit of a timer underneath it too. Also, if we open up our inventory screen, you can see that little like bar. Yeah, I don't know, it just makes it way better. It's really customizable as well if you wanted to, you know, just kind of enhance it. You can move those icons around as far as I know and change up a bunch of stuff with it. Now, I did get a mod called Better Selection, which is supposed to allow you to highlight text, but it does not seem to work. Even if I type in here, I still can't highlight text. I don't know why it's not working, but you can see it right here. Hopefully you guys have more luck, but I just thought that was a cool little addition, being able to just easily highlight stuff. Maybe if you write down the coordinates in chat like I do, like, I don't know, something like that, and you want to copy it into your notepad or something, you could highlight it, but I don't know why it's not fucking working. This next mod is called Resourceify, and it's just a super easy way to add resource packs to your game. You know, usually you'd go into Modrinth or whatever, you gotta open up the resource pack folder, drag that crap in. But now all you have to do, head to options, resource packs, click on this plus button that's here, and bang, you can just easily browse every single bloody resource pack that exists. I think it takes them from Modrinth, although I'm not too sure. But yeah, you've got things like categories over here. You can like filter by certain features like audio, you know, things that change the audio. Things like fonts as well. Like, you know, say I want to use default HD 128 times. You just click on this, install it, and it's right here. You just got to enable it and click done. But before I click done, this is actually another mod that we have called dark loading screen. So you can see, bang, look at that. It's a nice dark loading screen. And yeah, there we go as well. There is our... Wait, why isn't that working? Okay, I don't know why that resource pack isn't working, but I did just add Raised 3D Rails in, which is a resource pack I absolutely love. And that just adds in, you know, a nice 3D rail model. There's really no reason why you shouldn't have this, because it just looks freaking amazing, dude. The only other thing that I'd highly recommend is 3D crops. You may have to change it to a different version. Yeah, there it is, 3D crops revamped, and this should still work for this version of Minecraft. You just got to click on versions and then install right there. And then make sure you drag it over. It's going to say it's for an older version, but it should still work perfectly fine. If we go ahead and till this farmland and plant some wheat, you can see every individual stalk is nice and 3D and beautiful. Same as sugarcane. Look at that crap, dude. That looks so good. Now, while we're at it, I will just quickly show you a couple more really good resource packs that I highly recommend. And pretty much all of these, you're gonna have to enable 1.21. Again, it's not gonna make a difference if it's an older thing or not. It's still gonna work. So the next one is enchanted books. There's heaps of different versions of these now, so you can kind of just choose whichever one you want. And all they do is just kind of upgrade that default, you know, enchanted book where everything is literally the exact same thing and just makes them way more interesting. I don't even remember which one I used to bloody use. Probably just go with this one, mate. Next in the list is spring flowers. Bro, this is such a good thingamajig. Resource pack, install that. Remember, once you've gotten these, you do have to enable them still by doing this. So taking a look at our enchanted books, here they are. Some of them are even animated, dude. That's so cool. Look at the little bubbles floating around. The flame arrow. Okay, this one's kind of goated. That's actually so sick. And then spring flowers does something that I really want vanilla Minecraft to just do at this point, is where it adds several different variants of existing flowers. You can see there's a shorter one, a different bit of a one, and another different one. Stuff like tulips have got the shorter variants, slightly different variants. I think blue orchids are probably the most notable. Yeah, there you go. You can see it completely changes the blue orchids as well. And yeah, it just makes the flowers and stuff way more interesting. Highly recommend this one. There's literally no reason not to have this. Next up, we have enchant icons. Again, re-enable this because it's not going to show up otherwise. And it's this one right here. Click on this bad boy, versions, install. And again, a very small difference, but it just adds a different color and a little emoji icon thing next to each enchantment, like kind of name. And dude, again, there's no reason not to add this. It just makes it feel more premium looking at these like enchantment things. Now, this next one is for if you're kind of like me and you don't really like how doors, you know, you can't see the inside of the door there. It's just flat, but it is still 3D, but it's just, I don't know, it's just weird. Same thing goes for trapdoors as well. You can actually see through the side of it. So of course there is a bloody resource pack for that. We're going to look up door tweaks here. Oh my God, enable the 1.21. And there it is. Click on that, versions, install. Now, just before we go out, another one that's really good is if you just search ladders and get 3D ladders here. My God, just install everything, man. And the final one now, just search lanterns and get better lanterns. Oh my God, so good. And now, as you can see with door tweaks, oh my God, you can see the inside of that trap door there. Same goes for the oak door. Bro, that is insanely good. It also makes like the little door handle kind of stick out here, and it does a bunch of stuff for the other doors. Like, bro, look at all of those and how good that looks. It's kind of crazy. Now, as for the ladders and the lanterns, here's a look at our 3D ladders. Again, there's just no reason not to have this. 3D lanterns, bang. Look at that. Instead of just being this flat, boring piece of poo, they're all 3D and absolutely bloody beautiful, I reckon. All right, that concludes my resource pack kind of tangent there. The next mod we're going to look at is Mini HUD. And if you install this, you're going to have this little like text in the top left there. And if you want to go ahead and, you know, just turn it on and off, you can just press H and that turns the Mini HUD on and off. You can then hold down H and C to configure it. And so there's a whole bunch of different things you can turn on here. FPS, memory usage, you know, just whatever you want to see at all times, you can just have it at the top left there. And so the only thing I actually use this for is the day counter in my 100-day videos. So if you want to set that up exactly like mine, just go ahead and turn absolutely everything off in the info line section, except for the main rendering toggle. And then we're going to come down to info world time formatted. Turn that bad boy on. Then we're gonna head into generic, scroll down a little ways until you find these kind of things here. And so where you see date format Minecraft, what we're gonna do is we're gonna Control A and backspace, get rid of all of that. And then you're gonna type this in. I just have it control pasted because I've already messed it up like 4 times now. So day space, curly bracket, all caps, day_1, curly bracket. We're also gonna increase the font scale here. I'm gonna change mine to 2 just because that's, I don't know, that's just the size I like. Now if we exit off, you can see we have that day counter right there at the top left. Turn it on and off with the H button. Bloody well perfect, I reckon. All right, next up on the list, we have calc mod. And to use this mod, you basically just type in chat, you type /calc, and then you've got all these different things you can do. So the first one is obviously just basic maths. If we do like 5 + 5, bang, it gives you 10. It gives you the bloody result right in the game. Now, another super useful command with this is item to stack. So say you know exactly how many items you have, maybe it's 350, and you want to know how many stacks you have, you can use this command and it'll tell you exactly how many, 350 items is 5 stacks and 30 items. It goes the other way around, so you can go stack to item. Let's just say 1000. Bang, and it tells you exactly how many items is in 1000 stacks of 64. It just saves a bunch of time having to open up a calculator and frickin' figure that crap out, man. But yeah, there's so many other more useful things, like there's distance. You can calculate the exact distance with like coordinates. There's stuff with like nether portals, piglin bartering. You can even get rates of like different farms and stuff. But I'm too stupid to figure that out. So yeah, you guys can kind of figure that out. Now the next mod is actually a very subtle change. But if you look at my hotbar, you can see it is actually slightly elevated from the bottom of the screen. See, this is how it looks like in vanilla. Usually it's just touching the bottom of the screen, and it's actually like that little black border is cut off at the bottom. But this mod, called Raised, lets you position it wherever you want. So by default, also to open up the configuration screen, you press the tilde key, so the one above tab. So the displacement Y is 2 pixels offset by default, and you can see that just raises up, and you can see that just raises it up. Fuck's sake. And you can see that just raises it up nicely like that. I mean, you could go absolutely ballistic with it and raise it up here. What the hell? Yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do with this. There's like, you can reposition a lot of different things like the chat, but I really just like it for that subtle raisening of the hotbar there. Now for this next one, item swapper, you're gonna have to go in, if you've downloaded every mod in my list in the description, you're gonna have to disable this one, the toggle replace mode with Axiom, just click on it and press escape. And then say you have like a bunch of different items. Now what you can do is you can hold R and it's going to allow you to just quickly and easily swap between items. It's kind of really smart and crazy. And this was actually the hardest mod that I considered adding to this because it just feels, I don't know, it feels very kind of far from vanilla, like I'm just so used to having to open up the inventory, frickin' drag it down or shift click or whatever. But I feel like this is such an awesome, useful little system. Yeah, I mean, I haven't actually really used this yet, but it seems very good. Like just being able to move items from your inventory that quick and easily, just holding R and you can use your mouse. It's kind of revolutionary, I think. Okay, now the next mod we have is called Peek. And this just gives you some really useful information whenever you hover over certain items like these ones here. So firstly, with a buried treasure map, you can just hover over the map here and it'll show you exactly the coordinates of where it's at instead of having to mess around with this crap like an idiot. You got things like the compass as well. It just shows you the exact spawn coordinates. A lodestone compass will show you exactly where your lodestone is. And then we've got things like shulker boxes here. So you can actually hover over the shulker box and see exactly what's inside. And if your shulker box actually only has one type of item, it'll put the item type on top like this. And dude, oh man, that's gotta be super useful. I do not use shulkers very often, but that's gotta be pretty good. And now in conjunction with that, if you've named your shulker box, that name will show up on there too. So you can see I've got a couple of tools in here. So that's the kind of name that I've given this one. All right, this next mod, oh, we can see it already. It's called Boids. And it's a very, very small change, but man, does it actually make such a difference. You might not be able to even frickin' tell what I'm talking about, and that's because, well, I'm not really looking at them. But as you can see, these fish here, look at these bad boys. Look at how crazy they're going. So Boids is actually like some kind of computer like thing, like an algorithm or something. And it's basically a way to make fish way more realistic and where they kind of school up together and stay together better. I really want to find some salmon because they're a way better example. But just look at those fish swimming around through there. Wow, dude, it's such like a weird, obscure mod that you just kind of overlook. But in practice, man, does that actually make such a difference when you look into the water. Here we go, here's some salmon. Yeah, look at these, look at them. They're just sticking together perfectly, like basically how they would in real life. And they're so much quicker too. I didn't even realize that. But you can see just how much quicker they are. So you can't really just jump in the water and go and freaking slash them with your sword. But yeah, dude, that's super cool. Okay, next up we have a couple of mods for the rain in Minecraft. 2 mods in total. We've got Cool Rain and Particle Rain. So let me just make it rain here. So first of all, you can see with the particle rain, it just completely overhauls the actual look of the rain. Like, look at that. You can see the rain in the distance is kind of making it really noisy. It's not just falling directly straight, it's on an angle. And when I fly as well, you can see, look at how like angled it is. Oh, that's so cool. You can also see on the water, it adds little droplets onto the water. And now for our second rain mod, Cool Rain, to work, what you're gonna have to do is head into the mod list here. Just type in particle rain, and then in this list, we're just going to scroll down a bit, and where it says play rain sounds, we're actually going to turn this off so that Cool Rain can take over. You're not really going to notice a difference until you get near some certain blocks. So when we get next to water, you can hear the rain actually hitting the water. It's a little bit subtle, but if we go ahead and place down a bunch of copper blocks, you should be able to hear the difference. And yeah, so that is basically what Cool Rain does. It completely changes the sound of the rain depending on what it's hitting. So if we go ahead and place some wall blocks now. Bro, that sounds so nice. Also, when it comes to lava, the rain is going to sizzle when it actually hits the lava instead of just not doing anything. There you go, it's very subtle. It doesn't play very often, but it's just a little bit of a sizzle. Next up, we have glass blocks here. So dude, if you're like in an underground base and you have glass as your roof, that is going to sound absolutely pristine, my brother. And now the final one is foliage. So stuff like leaves. Yeah, it sounds completely different on leaves. It's kind of crazy. So a very, very kind of subtle mod. You're only going to notice it obviously when it's raining and if you're, you know, listening out for it. Now, another mod that I use in a lot of my creative videos, pretty much all of them, is going to be the Axiom mod. So you can see that is my actual like 10th little hotbar slot right at the end there. And if we go ahead and hold Alt, we can actually change between these different things. I don't think I've actually made an Axiom tutorial video, but I'm not really going to be able to cover everything here. But it allows you to do heaps of super useful things when it comes to creative building. You know, you got the move command. Say you wanted to, I don't know, just fill in this entire water area. You can just use the stack tool and just make the grass kind of span across there. You can also press right shift and enter like this editor mode where you can do all kinds of crazy things like smoothing off landscape with the, okay, that is not smoothing. There we go. You can smoothen off landscape like this. It's literally like a blender in Minecraft. You can add freaking slopes. Like say you wanted to get like a slope between these 2 points, bang, you can just quick and easily do it like that. It's that easy. There is so much useful shit in here. It's just honestly a game changer. Like clear foliage, say you want to get rid of all of the grass, maybe the trees in this area, bang, it's that easy. Now I'm only scratching the surface with this kind of crap, so if you want to see more Axiom things, be sure to watch my other creative videos on my channel because I definitely use this primarily in the videos. Now just a tip, if you have Zero's world map and also Axiom at the same time, you're not going to be able to press right shift to go into that mode. You just got to go scroll down here, and once you hit Zero's world map, it's one of these, I think it was this one, it's bound to right shift. You just got to click on it and press escape to unbind it, and that'll allow you to enter this kind of crazy mode. Now also when it comes to building, we of course have World Edit, which just adds in a bunch of functionality, most of which I mainly only use this now for the wooden axe here. See, with Axiom, it's a little bit of a process when it comes to altering blocks. So you got to kind of do this, press enter, and then you got to go Control F to fill it with maybe whatever you want, stone, and then you can press enter. So it is a little bit of a process with Axiom, and that's why I still kind of prefer World Edit for this. All you got to do is select one point, select the other point, and then type in / set in whatever block you want. So stone, bang, and that's done. I don't know if Axiom's planning on adding a way to do that, or if it already exists. I have no idea. So that's mainly why I still use World Edit. World Edit, of course, I know, I'm not even scratching the surface with this. It has a whole bunch of other functionality. Say you've cleared out this mountain here and you want it to go back to how it was. So you can just select the two regions. You can do / position 1 / position 2. So I've basically just highlighted this entire area here, and we can type / regen, and that's just going to regenerate all of those chunks back to originally how they were. Now this next mod that I've gotten called bind commands. I haven't actually tried it out yet, but I feel like it would be pretty useful, mainly for me for world edit in those moments. So I believe to configure this, we got to go into the mod list, type in bind commands, and then head into the settings. And then down here we can click add command. So I'm going to set this to / position 1, and I'm going to bind it to, I have no idea why. And then we can add another one, of which I'm going to make it into / position 2. So now instead of having to type in / position 1, go over here, position 2, and then I can do my set 0 to remove that. Now all I actually have to do is just press Y, and then I can go over here, press U, and then set 0. And bang, it's that quick and easy. You can obviously bind this to things on your mouse as well to make it even quicker. So if you have certain commands that you use pretty frequently and you don't want to have to type them in all the time, I feel like this is a game changer of a mod, dude. Kind of crazy. All right, and I'm just in my old mod pack on 1.21. This is my underground base that I just made in the last video. Be sure to check that out. But if you're like me, when it comes to luring animals, you can see when you scroll off the item and scroll back to it, there's just this weird delay. Like, look, he's just not attracted, now he is. And so if that frustrates you as much as it does for me, like just look at this, it's ridiculous, that delay. There is of course a mod to fix that called no animal tempt delay or something like that. So now if we go ahead and pull out the wheat, we can just put it away, pull it back out, put it away, pull it back out. Look at that. There is no delay whatsoever when it comes to luring animals. I don't know if that's a bug in the game or whatever, but seriously, this is just 100,000 times better and less frustrating. There is no reason not to have this mod, dude. It's kind of crazy how easy this makes it now. Like, it's just so much better. All right, this next mod is called Client Tweaks, and I actually only got this for one reason, but there's actually so many awesome things that this mod does. So the main thing I got this for is usually when you're hungry, and if you have a torch or a lantern in your offhand slot, if you go ahead and start eating while looking at a block, it's gonna place that torch. But this mod actually stops that from happening and lets you eat instead of placing. So I felt that was just super useful, but dude, if we head into the freaking thingamajiglet here, just type in Client Tweaks, you can see the amount of things that this, you know, does. So there's things like auto climb ladder. Let's turn that on and have a look. So if you have a really massive ladder and you don't want to just sit there all day holding W like a dickhead, with that thing enabled, all you have to do now is just look up and you'll keep continuously climbing this ladder. You can do other things while you're freaking climbing, and that honestly seems extremely useful if you like your bloody ladders. There's other things in here like hide offhand, so you can just completely hide your offhand altogether. So if you're always holding like a totem of undying or a shield or some shit, you can just get rid of that and not even freaking have to see it. There's also another thing that's enabled by default with this, where it adds the master volume right here in this options menu instead of having to go into music and sounds. You can also disable things like log stripping if you always freaking manage to strip logs like I do. Man. Also another thing is this one right here, pane building support. So usually if you're building with glass panes or iron bars, man, are they a pain in the ass to right click on top of. But as you can see, the hitbox is massively expanded here, making it extremely easy to build with glass panes and things like iron bars. Man, is that so good. Look at, oh, okay. See, that's one it actually doesn't expand right there. Look at that. So that should probably be like a big box, I'd say. But I mean, the most important thing is just these two kind of actions here. Man, that makes it so much easier. Now, there is heaps more useful things in this mod that I highly recommend checking out for yourself and enabling and disabling, whichever you don't like. But yeah, very, very quality of life, crazy kind of stuff. All right, I'm just going to rapid fire a bunch of small little mods here. So first on the list, we have mouse tweaks. There's a bunch of different things again that you can do with this, but I love it for two main things, where you can just hold down shift and hold down left click, and you can just easily drag items like that to and fro chests or wherever the hell you want. Another thing I really love it for is easily being able to just put things in furnaces. Like say I want to smelt 16 iron, we can just scroll with the scroll wheel while hovering over this, and we can just put 16 iron in there real quick and easy. And then we can also just add in our 2 coal like so. And that just makes it super quick and easy to put stuff in furnaces. Next up, we have blur, which you might have seen throughout this entire video. As you can see, when we open up our inventory screen, it kind of just gradually blurs the background. Honestly, I just really like the look of that. Again, it's something that just makes the game feel kind of more premium, I guess. And again, this is really customizable. If you just type in blur in the mod page thing, you can head in here and change the style. You can change the blur amount. You can add a freaking gradient if you want to. You can change the time it takes to fade in and everything. I kind of just like this default one here, so I'm going to stick with that. Now, another one is smooth scrolling. If you look at my hotbar here, you can see it is smoothly scrolling between the thingy-majiggies here. Also, if we go into something like the creative menu and just start scrolling, you can see how smooth that is. Usually, you know, in default, it just kind of just steps between each thing instantly, but it's just really nice on the eyes just having this super smooth scrolling thing. Next up, we have camera utils. Honestly, super freaking useful, man. The thing I use with this the most is got to be the zoom. It's the best one I've found, man. You hold down C, bang, you get the zoom. And now what you can do is with the scroll wheel, you can just gradually scroll in and out to, you know, change the zoom amount. Another thing with camera utils is if you press F12, you can just detach the camera and get yourself like this, you know? If you watch any of my videos where I kind of, you know, I'm talking like this is how I do it. Next up, we have pickup notifier. So if I throw a bunch of crap on the ground and you look in the bottom right there, you can see as I pick it up, you can see exactly what I've picked up. Now that is a bit small at the moment, so we can just go in here, type in pickup notifier and head into client settings. Yeah, I'm hoping it'd be in display. Scale, there we go. Let's make that up to like maybe 16. Click done, and let's just try it again. There we go. Okay, that might be too big. Okay, I've ended up settling on 6 here. That is way better. Next up, we have better F1. So usually when you press F1, you know, it goes straight like this. But better F1, it adds kind of an intermediary F1 where if you just press it once, it simply just hides all of the UI, but you can still see your hand or whatever you're holding. You know, it might not be that useful for most people, but for me, when I'm recording stuff for like in the intros of my videos and I want to see my hand still, it's pretty cool for that. And it just kind of makes it more immersive. Next up, we have the ortho camera mod. Bro, look at this. Holy crap. And we zoom out. Okay, so it's saying, okay, I'm doing some real-time frickin' debugging here. No placement selected. I think that's another one of our mods called Lightmatica. I believe if we press oh, so there's so many conflicts that you got to sort out. It's just the part of modding, you know? So you kind of got to hold M, and then once you're in here, you can go to config menu, change the open GUI main menu, change this to something else, like L. I don't know, man. So now if we press, oh my fucking God. Okay, I just had to unbind L from the advancements frickin' thing so that we can actually open this now. But now if we head in here and just get rid of KP subtract and KP multiply. Now this should work. Let's press 5 on the number pad again and start pressing minus right next to it. And there you can see we can zoom out with the ortho camera mod. Oh my God, just like that. How good is that? Now, as you can see, there's some areas where, you know, it's not really rendering anything. And so to fix that, we got to head into options, video settings, and then I believe it's in performance. And yes, use block face culling. Turn this off and apply. And there we go. That fixes that. For the most part. There's still some unrendered chunks there, that's all that is. But yeah, that is also going to decrease performance a little bit having that turned off, so you just got to kind of keep that in mind. Now, this next mod actually enhances our little single player kind of world selection here, and this mod is called Cherished Worlds. So as you can see, it adds a little star kind of add to favorites thing next to every world. Obviously, I only have one at the moment. But say we had a giant list of worlds like I usually do, and you have a world that you mainly like to play on, you can just pin this, and this will always stick to the top. And yeah, man, pretty useful. It's actually kind of crazy how good and useful this mod is if you have a lot of worlds. All right, and this last mod that I wanted to showcase is one that I'm actually not actively using, but I use it whenever I want to play multiplayer with someone. And that is the essential mod, okay? So you can see the main menu screen's a little bit different here. We got some extra buttons, and you can see my little dude. And we got a wardrobe, like it adds like skins. So the only reason I don't really like it is because you can pay money to, you know, get these little... Man, what the hell is that? That's just... Okay, we're getting out of that. The only reason I like this mod is because it has like a social feature here where you can add friends. And once you've added a friend, you can actually go ahead and host a world. So you can host a single player world here. And once you're in there, all you have to do is just invite your friend with this social system thing and they can just join you. It's that easy, man. So you don't have to like, you know, screw around with freaking server files and crap and host world and like port forward and all that. It's literally that easy. So pretty much whenever I want to play multiplayer, I'm installing this mod right here, okay? It's honestly, it's kind of good. It's really good for multiplayer, okay? I'm just going to take you through a very quick couple of settings here that I like to change to kind of make it my own. So firstly, in performance settings, I like to turn entity shadows on. So, you know, cows and stuff have shadows. And then advanced colored lighting, I turn that up to 4 chunks. And that makes it so lanterns and torches kind of emit yellow light instead of just white light. The next most important setting is going to be in materials, integrated PBR materials, and we're going to turn on generated normals. So you can kind of see the original blocks here and how they're just kind of very flat. But if we go ahead and turn this on, bang, look at that. See, it just adds a little bit of like a highlight and a shadow to every pixel. And it kind of makes it look like you have a resource pack on when you really don't. I get a lot of comments as well asking how I get glowing ores, and well, it's all just part of the shaders here, and it's pretty much on by default. So yeah, just as long as you have these on, you'll be fine. Now in here, if we go to other IPBR features, we can also turn on improved glass. So you can see right now, glass is just very see-through. Like it's literally like there's nothing there except for the pixels. But if we turn this on, you can see it kind of adds like a translucent layer, and it actually looks like glass. And I think that's really cool, so we're turning that on. Now back to the main menu, we're gonna head to camera, color balance. We're gonna increase general brightness up to 1.9, saturation up to 1.15, saturation of paler colors up to 1.3, and that's it. Click apply. And so that just kind of increases the brightness and the vibrance of everything. Next, heading into atmosphere, we're gonna head into fog and turn atmospheric fog down to very subtle. And that just removes like a little bit of the fog. I don't know, I don't really like it. Then from in here, we're gonna click back, go into atmosphere color multipliers, turn this on and go into noontime. We're gonna drag the red multiplier down to 0.6, the green down to 0.9, and that's it. So if you take a look at the sky here, you can see it's very pale and white, and once we apply, it just makes everything overall a little bit more bluer in the sky and a little bit less harsh. And now the final thing is to head into other, and we're going to turn on world outline. Turn that bitch on and increase the thickness up to 2. And so all this does is it adds a little bit of like an outline kind of highlight around every block. You can see it in the distance over there, like just that little outline. And that's pretty much it. There are a couple of subtle settings like for the water and stuff, but for the most part, you really don't need it. And honestly, just these couple of settings make it basically perfect, okay?